Secrets of the Pink Kush, Paradigm Shift for Peace, written by William H. Bradshaw. This information is derived from my book, Secrets of the Pink Kush. Some knowledge revealed here may not be in the book exactly as detailed here, as this is more detailed, but the main premise is derived from the book. Please note that I am not an occultist or religious, but a scientist, and my objective is to remain unbiased and only present the facts that I discovered during my lengthy research project. Some of what is contained here is speculation in an attempt to explain some of these ancient mysteries and or to provide possible solutions to existing problems of our society. The pursuit of global peace. People have been talking about peace or the achievement of peace and prosperity for thousands of years, and yet this goal seems to be impossible to achieve. In this document, we'll examine the various aspects of peace and the reasons why that goal is unattainable without a complete and global paradigm shift of epic proportions. It has been thousands of years of civilization, and yet war remains a constant factor. Some of this may be attributed to the profitability of war for some and or a method for culling the population. Some of it is clearly territorial and some is clearly religious based, but that requires further investigation, as we will discover. Peace by gender, it seems, has proven itself a failure throughout the entire history of civilization. Global peace is the coexistence of all humans without violence and of war in particular. Humans will always have sporadic instances of violence due to many reasons. Some of these reasons include disrespect, territorial protection, visceral reactions, emotional response, domination, aggressive behavior, and many other factors that are too numerous to list. Patriarchal and matriarchal primates. Toronto Zoo baboons engage in violent power struggle after queen dies. Medical records reveal bloody, months-long fight between young, rightful heir and arch rival. The Canadian Press posted on November 29th, 2015. Baboons, both in the wild and at zoos, have societies that are run by females, and that dominance runs through family lines. So the oldest daughter of the matriarch is the rightful heir to become queen. Reuters. The baboons in the Toronto Zoo lost their matriarch last year in 2014, and this has caused the female baboons to become extremely violent amongst themselves in order to acquire the vacant throne. This has been a vicious and long ongoing battle for the throne. The daughter of the matriarch and the successor was too young to control her rivals. This has caused an ongoing battle amongst the female baboons. This is a captivity situation, so it may not totally reflect what would occur in nature, but it certainly seems representative. Similar behavior has been observed amongst other matriarchal societies like meerkats in Africa. Perhaps this would cause a split amongst the tribe in nature, and the usurpers would leave to form their own troop, or the successor and her followers would leave the territory. This is evidence that a matriarch society does not always guarantee peace. Chimpanzees and bonobos. Chimpanzees, Pan troglodyte, and bonobos, or pygmy chimpanzee, Pan paniscus, are two different species that make up the genus of Pan. The bonobos inhabit the land south of the Congo River, while chimpanzees inhabit the land north of the Congo. It is suspected that the two species split during the formation of the Congo River about 1.75 plus or minus about 2.5 million years ago. Genetically, they are 99.6% genetically similar to each other. It is assumed that they were 100% the same species prior to the formation of the river. Evolution created this genetic divergence. They are different both physically in appearance and in social behavior as well. Chimpanzees are bigger, stronger, more aggressive, and live in a patriarchal society dominated by an alpha male. They use tools, go hunting in teams, impose and enforce strong territorial boundaries, and they tend to resolve their issues with violence. Bonobos are smaller. The females have longer parted hair, pink lips, darker faces, longer legs, while the chimpanzee's lips are brown and their face changes color according to age. Bonobos are a peaceful matriarchal society run by females. Many of their issues are resolved with sex rather than violence. The females will practice homosexuality with other females in order to create social bonds with other females and maintain dominance and control over the males. Although intuitively one would think that this is a perfect social setting, there are problems. The bonobos have been known to get violent as well, and they appear to be slowly going extinct, while the chimpanzees are not going extinct. One cannot draw a conclusion that the violent patriarchal society is any better than a matriarchal society or vice versa. The bonobos use sex for many social situations such as avoiding conflict, showing affection, reducing stress, solidifying social status, and sometimes simply as a greeting. Bonobos try to keep the peace in their society by offering a sexual favor. The chimpanzees approach to employ the might is right rule through violence. Chimpanzees only allow the high-ranking dominant male to mate with the females. This must be a mechanism to ensure the survival of the species, as the strongest male's genes are passed on to the next generation. Sex is common and pervasive in the bonobo society. They have total sexual freedom between all various combinations of genders and ages. If you have read Secrets of the Pink Kush, then you will know that our civilization was designed essentially to be either a patriarch society for strict control, being Satanist, and order, or matriarch society of chaos with compassion, which is Luciferian, because they seem to be the most peaceful but require deceit in order to achieve their goal. There are records of ancient battles between the two gender warring factions of tetraploid humans, including Marduk slaying Tiamat. This is essentially a war between Satan, patriarchal, versus Lucifer, matriarchal. The expectation of matriarchal systems as always being peaceful is not always true in nature, as observed in both bonobos and baboons, for example. Both bonobos and baboons are matriarch societies, but violence has been observed in both groups of primates. Chimpanzees are patriarchal and are much more violent in general, but bonobos, who are their ancestral cousins, can be extremely violent at times as well. What we are missing here is that we humans can move beyond being either a patriarchal or matriarchal society and become a truly equal system called egalitarian societies. Egalitarian societies have been implemented in Native American tribes throughout history and have proven to be more peaceful and prosperous even over a matriarchal system. All patriarchies are being wiped out and replaced by matriarchal societies by the Judeans and their Luciferian master, also known as the devil. This is the system devised and implemented through the ancient cult of Demeter. Patriarchal animals. Some examples of patriarchal animals are chimpanzees and cheetahs. They tend to be more violent and will dominate the females through violence. As a general rule, or an observation at least, is that birds of prey are more likely to be matriarchal, as are insects as well as reptiles. It has also been found that most mammals are more likely to be patriarchal. This is not always true, as killer whales, for example, are matriarchal. It appears that many herd animals and ungulates are patriarchal. This can be observed by a single male with a herd or harem, although it does not necessarily always apply. Some of the factors in nature make it hard to distinguish which are matriarchal, patriarchal, or egalitarian without intimate knowledge of their societal practices. Identification of gender system. Many humans still cannot recognize what type of system they are in, as an example. In the Luciferian system, the women employ deceit to make men believe that they are in control. The Satanic system appears to not use deceit, as this is a feminine trait, as thus cannot be employed without it contravening the very nature of this system. Many animals are solitary creatures throughout most of their lives, only coming together with the opposite sex to mate. Bears and most of the big cats are good examples of these solitary animals. These animals are known to kill the infant offspring of female in order to bring them into heat so that they will mate with them. Egalitarian animals. Some animals are actually egalitarian, such as geese, swans, dogs, and wolves. They are examples of animals that actually work together as totally equal partners. This is an overall survival strategy that has worked for them. When it does not work, then extinction will result, and that possible solution becomes obsolete. There have been many human egalitarian societies over history. The Native Americans are one such example where some of their societies were in fact egalitarian, but they also had matriarchal and patriarchal societies. It should be well noted that their egalitarian society seemed to thrive and perform better than either a matriarchal society or patriarchal. This was probably due to the fact that both genders were trained to perform all tasks. This allowed for essentially a backup system within their tribal formations. It appears in nature that just because the male is stronger, it does not preclude it from being a subordinate within a matriarchal system. For example, male lions are easily more powerful than the females and do fight over the females, but do not dominate the females. The females still control the pride and can force any male out of the pride at any given time. This can be easily accomplished by ganging up on the lone male. He will be ousted by overwhelming numbers. Overwhelming numbers usually prevails over size, strength, and intelligence. Bees and humans. Bees have a different system of genetics than mammals and animals in that they are haploid-diploid. Male bees or drones are haploid, meaning single set of chromosomes. Female workers are diploid, meaning two sets of chromosomes. The queen bee is tetraploid, in my opinion, and mates with haploid bees and diploid bees. Diploids and tetraploids create triploids. There are diploid male bees as well, but are usually sterile, but not always. Female queen bees are created by feeding royal jelly to a virgin queen and then having her mate to many male bees. Does royal jelly act as a mitotic poison such that it creates a tetraploid from the diploid female? It is extremely acidic composition, and it is possible that this high acidity and or the documented insulin-like substance may prevent the cells from dividing, thus creating a polyploid. This is pure speculation on the part of this author, though. This would, however, account for the triploid females created when mating with rarer diploid males. I suspect that some of the observations about bees are not correct, as they do not fit with my personal observations about polyploidy with other organisms found in nature. The bees and ants are certainly the most diverse employee levels. That is to say that they appear in all levels with functionality based upon sex and employee level. I am projecting these concepts to us humans, and even the concept of a tetraploid queen being the head of a matriarchal society. This may not be necessarily the optimal society for animals or humans in particular. One must create each scenario and make comparative studies before one can draw any conclusions. My own suspicion is that some humans, like chimpanzees and bonobos, are genetically predisposed to be either patriarchal or matriarchal in nature. We are in essence genetically programmed to provide some function within our same species groups. Here is an excerpt of observations by Dr. Becker about various matriarchal animals and insects. By Dr. Becker. In the animal kingdom, there are many species in which the females rule the roost. This might seem unusual in that males are typically thought of as the protectors, but oftentimes the females have unique advantages or skills that make them uniquely suited to protecting their species' survival. Matriarchal species in the animal kingdom. Honeybees. The female queen is the ruler of the honeybee hive. She's larger in size than her workers and lives for 1 or 2 years, compared to 6 or 7 weeks for workers. The queen's specialty is reproduction, which ensures the survival of the hive, according to Discovery News. Drones usually die upon mating or are expelled from the hive before winter sets in. When a young virgin queen emerges from a queen cell, she will generally seek out virgin queen rivals and attempt to kill them. Virgin queens will quickly find and kill, by stinging, any other emerged virgin queen, or be dispatched themselves, as well as any unemerged queens. Queen cells that are opened on the side indicate that a virgin queen was likely killed by a rival virgin queen. When a colony remains in swarm mode after the prime swarm has left, the workers may prevent virgins from fighting, and one or several virgins may go with after swarms. Other virgins may stay behind with the remnants of the hive. Some virgins have been seen to escape the hive to avoid being killed and seek out another without a queen, such as the eusocial bee Melipona scutarius. As many as 21 virgin queens have been counted in a single large swarm. When the after swarm settles into a new home, the virgins will then resume normal behavior and fight to the death until only one remains. If the prime swarm has a virgin queen and the old queen will usually be allowed to live. The old queen continues laying. Within a couple of weeks, she will die a natural death, and the former virgin, now mated, will take her place. That's some Wikipedia on queen bees. Killer whales. Orcas or killer whales live in a matriarchal society, and offspring stay with their mothers for life, even after having offspring of their own. A pod of killer whales will be made up of multiple family units, known as matrilines, which tend to travel together. Killer whales are very protective of their young, who are cared for not only by their mother, but also by other adolescent females in the pod. Number 3 is elephants. Elephants also live in a complex matriarch society in which the oldest and often largest female is the matriarch of the entire herd. She may lead anywhere from 8 to 100 elephants. Number 4, bonobos. Bonobos, a type of grade 8, formerly known as a pygmy chimpanzee, also live in groups led by females. Interestingly, they are also said to be among the most peaceful primates on the planet and settle conflicts through sex. Authors note, this last observation in an HRS documented by Dr. Becker is the reason, I believe, that the tetraploid humans decided upon an exclusively matriarchal society for all diploid humans. They felt, in their wisdom, that a matriarchal society would be peaceful and hence less of a threat to them, as well as being easier to control. The current problem with our matriarchal society has been devoid of the pervasive sex that usually avoids conflicts within these bonobos. Number 5, spotted hyenas. Female spotted hyenas are larger and more aggressive than males, and it's the females that dominate their social groups, each of which may have up to 60 members. The female hyena's genitals even resemble the male genitals, making it difficult to differentiate between the sexes. Number 6, lions. Lions live in large groups called prides, similar to wolves, but not most other cat species. A pride consists of multiple related females and their dependent offspring, along with 2 or 3 unrelated males. A typical pride has about 15 members, although some prides as large as 40 members have been observed. Female lions do the hunting, usually in groups, while male lions stay home and watch over the pride. The males, however, are the first to eat when the female lions come home with their kill. Number 7, mole rats. Mole rat colonies, which may have 20 to 300 members, are led by a dominant female or a mole rat queen. The queen chooses the largest, toughest males to mate with several times a year and may deliver up to 7 offspring every 2 months. Meerkats. Meerkats live in underground burrows in groups of 2 or 3 families called mobs. Each mob is led by a dominant female, which leads the group in foraging trips, finding new burrows and settling disputes with other meerkat mobs. Ants. Similar to bees, ants live in colonies led by a single queen who focuses on mating and breeding to build a colony while the others tend to the work. An interesting factoid from Discovery News. If the population size is a measure of success, then ants are the most successful creatures on the planet. If all the ants in the world came together in one big mass, they would weigh more than the combined weight of the entire human population on Earth. The paradigm shift required for peace. It is, in my opinion, the only way that we, as a society on the whole, can establish long-term peace is to abandon these 2 gender-based systems altogether. We can move from the observed violence of either of these 2 gender-based systems and somewhat spiritually traverse or transcend into an egalitarian system. When comparing either a matriarchal system to a patriarchal system, we are still essentially animals operating within nature, and thus violence will be a constant force. An increase in female-on-female violence will result from a matriarchal system based upon observations in nature. We were gifted and or adopted a Trinity-based system, God, Satan, Lucifer, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, from the tetraploid humans. We were gods, goddesses, and giants. And we have yet to implement the final stage. And that final stage, I strongly suspect, is the higher level of total egalitarianism. This appears to be the constant message from them found in the Lord's Prayer, El Astronauta of the Nazca lines, Baphomet, and even found in the symbolism of crop circles. From this, we can postulate that an egalitarian society would be tantamount to worshiping a single higher level God, just as they ultimately desire, or perhaps as only some of the tetraploid humans so desire. It is also my opinion that there may very well be 2 subordinate forces of these tetraploids humans that wish us to worship and or pay tribute to them alone, and to not worship a singular God. This is opposed to worshiping Satan, who was Muslims, Eastern world, some pagan tribes, or Lucifer, like Judeans, Sikhs, Hindus, Catholics, Western Hellenistic world, and Jains, and some pagan tribes, as defined within the Trinity. See Secrets of the Pink Kush for an elaboration of these concepts. Secrets of the Pink Kush. Read Secrets of the Pink Kush for more knowledge of metaphysics, which explains how nature, the occult, botany, biology, and many other topics are related by a certain lily plant that can potentially cure cancer, or kill animals and humans, or create polyploids, such as the tetraploid humans, and or create superior plants like the Pink Kush, which is also a tetraploid, but a cannabis plant. The book also describes how to breed and grow superior plants, and cannabis in particular. There is knowledge in this book that is not found anywhere else in the world, except amongst the tetraploid humans, and they are keeping it a secret. Thank you for your interest in this topic.